Hey guys, I'm excited to be back with you this week and give you a market update, kind of what last year looked like, what we're thinking that this year will look like, and really just answer a lot of the questions that I get on a day-to-day basis when people are just wondering about the market in Lubbock in general. So as we look at 2022 and what it finished out at, we look at the total amount of sold units. So we ended the year right at 4741 for the entire Lubbock market, and that's how many units were closed in our MLS, and that's going to be in Lubbock County. So as we look at that, if we just kind of take a really narrow scope and look at that year over year, that is going to be down 12.6% year over year from 2021 to 2022. In 2021, we closed out 5429 units. And so that's 12% down, kind of feels like a big number, like a big adjustment, like a big shift. And I think that people, whether it's in the national headlines or even if you had your personal house listed, it was definitely a much different environment this year, especially after, let's say, March, than it had been in the last year or so. So one of the things that we really feel like it's important to look at is to take that narrow scope of year over year look and really kind of broaden it to see not just year over year, but in the last, let's say, 5 years, what do those numbers look like? We know that in post-COVID, there was lots of changes in the economy, in supply chain, and it impacted pretty much every aspect of our lives. And so really, when we're thinking through this, we want to know, what does the market look like now versus before we had this huge economic disruptor? So when we look back to 2019, the total amount of units that were sold that year was 4531. So year over year, units sold, we are down 12%. But when we look back to 2019, we are still outpacing that market. And so what that does is that kind of shows us that, yes, when you come out of a year like you have never seen before and the market starts to regulate and starts to normalize, it is going to feel, different than when you have been in a more steady market like we had been in 2019. So, people ask, is this still a great time to sell? Is this still a great time to buy? And much like the stock market, this is not a thing that you can time. You can't. And so we don't ever pretend to have a crystal ball, but we do want to be the people that look at the numbers and we analyze them and we say, this is where we're at today, and really talk to our clients. What are your plans? Do you plan to be here 1 year? Do you plan to be here 5 years? What does this investment need to look like you as far as cash flow if it's an investment property? So I think that no matter, whether you're looking at buying your first home, or you're looking at upgrading or downgrading or investing, sitting down with us and making sure that we know your full plan is going to be key to making sure that we give you the best advice possible moving forward, and, maybe some different options that aren't on the national headlines as far as financing and all of that too. So one of the things that I also want to point out is, one of the numbers that we look at to just look at the total market and how it is performing and what our inventory levels look like is called month supply inventory. So when we look at this, what this shows is if there was not another house to come on the market after today and houses were still to continue selling at the same rate that they are, then this is how many months it would take to sell through all of our current inventory. So right now we are at 2 months supply inventory for the entire Lubbock market. And really, we don't consider a market even to be a balanced market until we're at 5 months supply inventory. And beyond 5 months supply inventory, we start to look at it more as a buyer's market than a seller's market. So with rates having a recent dip and sellers still being able to sell at a much appreciated value than they had even 2 years ago, I think that now is still a great time to either assess the equity you have and your options, or look at buying versus renting. honestly feel that the more information you have, the better choices you can make. So anytime that you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We are so excited for this year, and we're looking forward to bringing more information as the year progresses.